Fishing competition, man. I think I win.
Against who? Me? We're the only ones out here. He's having a fishing competition with himself. I made a hair appointment.
I think we both need haircuts. We've been out here way too long. Well, we're here in the North Pacific. The North Pacific, out of all places.
We just crossed the equator. It was awesome. And cheers, Neptune.
Neptune, man. You rock, man. You rock my world, Neptune. There's a good swell running behind us, actually. We're just on our way to Palau, and we thought we'd make a little fishing video.
There's big fish. Look at them. Oh, cute. They're cute.
We're actually chilling out on the aft deck, the quarter deck, the stern of the boat, the cockpit.
You're getting a little carried away there.
So we get a lot of viewer questions of how do we catch fish? What gear do we use? What colors of lures? People want to know what we're using because we catch a lot of big fish.
I think it's more than 150 pounds. Dude, I can't hold it up.
I caught it on a hand line. But check it out. I can't.
So I made Ben go dig through all the bowels of the boat and dig out all his old gear. And you get to see where we started from and where we are now. Actually surprising how not fancy this is.
As budget as you can get in terms of a fishing setup on a sailboat. I've done another video about hand lines and you can go check that out. I'll link it up above. If it's really rough and we're going really fast, we just use the hand line. And if we get a big fish on the hand line, we just let it straighten the hook. This is specifically about a rod and reel because there's specific advantages about it.
I really love having the rod and reel. I love that noise when it starts screaming. And it's funny because really the big fish have all been caught on the rod and reel.
Yeah, and I think the reason is that you can vary the distance of the lure from the boat. Outside of the wash, a little bit inside the wash, to the outside of the boat, to the inside of the boat. Yeah, there's the drag, and then the other thing is that the rod is sticking up, so it's giving the lure a bit more action because it's flicking. Basic tenet of living this... Tenant.
Who uses that word?
Tenant. It's education. It's.
What does it mean? It's like old school.
It's like higher class, man. It's like a good word. The basic tenet of living out here is supplementing your freezer with fish. I know a lot of you actually want to live this lifestyle. You maybe aren't quite sure how. These
rods are what we catch the bigger fish on, and the hand line's good for sort of the medium-sized fish, and the medium fish are amazing because they're good for like a couple weeks, and usually you can go through a school and get one or two, and it's fantastic, fill the freezer that way. But the big fish, those are amazing because they last up to like a couple months in the freezer, or sometimes up to 3 months in the freezer. That monster we caught lasted 3 months in the freezer.
Insane, Ash.
And that is awesome because we aren't big meat eaters, but we do eat meat from time to time. The meat out here, some of it you just don't want to eat.
The chicken is rather questionable.
Can I tell my story and then we'll go back to
one time in preschool?
We were in Tonga and these women, they were sitting in the back of the store cleaning the chicken in buckets. It was literally coming in from gosh knows where in a bucket, a pail, like a 5-gallon pail bucket. And then they were dipping it in various other 5-gallon pail buckets.
I didn't see this.
I know, I was shocked. Anyway, there's water and disgusting chicken guts all over the floor. Anyway, long story short, I kind of was put off buying chicken in a lot of these places, so we just stopped. We eat fish. We eat a lot of fish.
We eat chicken of the sea.
Chicken of the sea.
Yeah! Yeah, so we started in the Caribbean and you know, I did a lot of fishing up in Canada for salmon. Totally different setup, downriggers, 1-speed reels, and I brought some of those, but to be honest, like, they don't really work that well out here. You're dealing with some big, fast fish. So we started off and we bought this Squall 50. I thought this is a huge reel. I thought this would, like, you know, this could land a monster marlin. Nope. We actually had a marlin on after our first season and it completely spooled all the line off this. So then I upgraded to what's called a Senator. It has a drag. It's not a lever drag, but instead it has this turny thing, that's a little wheel right here.
I didn't like this reel as much. It was just more of a pain in the ass using it. So I was kind of happy when that fish killed it. We think this might be the biggest fish we've ever caught. It's certainly the meanest, toughest, baddest, an 1.5 hour long fight that Ben's ever fought on this boat. So...
this is a big reel. Like, that is a huge circumference in comparison to that, right? It's a lot bigger. But the problem with these is that you still are dealing with I don't know what you would call this. This is like a child's handle. Like, what is this? Like, do you touch it like this?
What are you talking about? Where are you going with this?
The handles on these reels, like this one too, it's tiny. Anyways, long story short, we went and got a TLD Shimano 50, and this has a real handle. Look at that handle, man. It's huge.
So if you
like, you can put your hand around this. TLD 50 Shimano is the ticket item, and the key to this setup is that it has mono on the top and then it has braid on the bottom. And you need this for a sailboat, because what happens, as you'll see in the video, when a big fish hits, it just takes line like crazy. And you need to be able to just let it take line. You have sails to deal with, you have a boat to deal with, you got crew to deal with. And you need to be able to just let that fish go. Go, go, go.
Fish on though, I don't want to catch it, it's too big. You go get it, man.
That's yours, man.
Oh, it's cute. We better get the belt. I don't have a bra on.
It doesn't matter how long it runs, it's never gonna run out of line. The braid underneath gives it the distance, so because braid packs down really well on a reel, so it can just run for hundreds and hundreds of yards. And the reason for the mono is that it gives it the stretch, can't break the line.
Basically, we went into the store and we said, what's the best, cheapest rod? I mean, we didn't say cheap, but you know.
Well, we're frugal.
Thrifty.
Frugal. We sunk all the money in the boat. It's a really smart idea. Depreciating asset.
We asked for the most thrifty reel and rod setup that we could get for our money.
And this is the ticket.
We like it. I like it. I like the way the drag is on it. I like the way it's easy to reel in. It's got 2 speeds. It's a huge step up from what we had.
And it's got
a big handle.
Big handle. How do you like try holding onto that for like 2 hours? That's hard to do. Holy fuck. I can't even like use my arms anymore. It's been like an hour and a half.
Yeah, it has.
The fish that we had on this one,
the biggest fish we've ever caught.
It actually started to smoke. This took so much line, I had to button down the drag so hard that it started to smoke. Let's talk briefly about the actual species we're targeting. What kind of fish are we catching, Yash?
We love mahi-mahi, we love tuna, yellowfin particularly, I like the yellowfin. There's also wahoo out here, we love wahoo as well. We caught a lot of them early in the Pacific, but not as much anymore. Yeah, it's freaking awesome.
You typically actually stay away from reef fish. There's something called Chiguatera. It's a paralytic poisoning that only reef fish have, and you never know which one has it. You can get around it by asking the locals, see what they're eating. Typically, we just load up the freezer with mahi, tuna, and wahoo, then eat that as we run out of fish.
So good. We're having mahi-mahi for dinner tonight.
I think it's actually from the last fishing episode, isn't it?
Maybe, yeah.
The one that got bit in half. We're having
Oh, yeah.
That's really fat. Let's talk about like what happens after you get a hookup, because sometimes panic. Like, it's exciting. There's a lot of stuff going on. That reel is screaming like crazy.
It's a good noise.
You got sails up. What's the order of how things should happen?
Typically what happens is Ben will go for the reel. He likes to make sure the hook's set and everything's good. But if it's screaming like mad, often it's pretty well set and you don't really have a hope in hell of setting anything if it isn't. What we'll do sometimes is initially we might slam the boat and forward to make sure that we give it a good tug on that fish. I don't know if that really actually helps, but it's what we do. Then after that, it's like, okay, get yourself organized. And if we have sails up, we immediately furl the genoa. I'm furling it, that's what that means. We'll sometimes leave the main up, depending on how big we think the fish is, or we'll drop the main. If you're sailing, like we were just now, there's a few things. You didn't catch them on camera, maybe we will next time. But you gotta furl that genoa in because it's just speeding you up too much. Then you gotta start the engines, because often we need a bit of reverse to slow us down even more. And if it's a monster, then we gotta drop the main. And all this has to happen like this. So, oh, and I have to pull in all the other rods. Although sometimes we could leave them out, especially when it's mahi, it's good to leave them out because you might get hooked up with a couple more eventually. So we're pretty stoked to have fish. Hopefully it's the one we want. Hopefully it's dinner.
The key thing is to have one person at the helm. One person is operating the steering wheel, and the throttles. The other person is on the rod and reel.
We have a big fish on, a big fish. When you come into like land areas around reefs, you hook up with big fish. And we've hooked up with something big. Right at the bottom there, eh?
Do you hear that?
We're not gonna run over it, are we?
This thing is going for a dive, man. It's going deep.
So with a fish this big, it's just easiest to drop all the sails, and we did that.
And the person at the helm has a really important job. We always keep the fish to the windward quarter. Boat will drift faster because it has a lot of windage, and it will always be downwind of the fish. If anything happens, like say currents or big waves, then the person on the needs to adjust course so that the line never gets wrapped around the prop or the rudder or anything else. It's a really, really big fish. Like, it's gonna be massive.
How's your new belt?
New belt's good, new rod's good, new reel's good.
What do you think it is, Ben?
Big marlin or big tuna.
Big though, eh?
Big fish. My bet's on a yellowfin when they dive that deep.
It takes a lot to blind a big fish, like a lot of effort to reel those fish in. So my good husband sometimes does that part. It's kind of like sexist. Maybe we'll have to switch that.
It is sexist, but I mean, what can I say? I'm the captain.
Well, I think I'm the captain when I'm driving, aren't I?
Yeah, actually, you're the captain. So this kind of fish, if you want to land this kind of fish, you're not going to land it on the hand line. They'll just tear it apart. We've had 2 hooks get straightened on the hand line. 3rd hook broke off, which is why we put out the rod, because we need some fish for dinner, but not maybe something this big.
Yeah, and when it gets close to the boat, it gets even trickier because sometimes they'll start circling around and they're right at the boat. So you have to be really careful.
Yeah.
And you got to be communicating. I mean, I'm not a wuss, but I'm not a huge fan of spending 2 hours reeling that fish in.
Nice.
This is the Genoa winching and this is the reel. Okay, anyway, so when the fish is right at the back corner of the boat, you have to be extra careful because that's like a big opportunity because they start to do circles and they sometimes dive one last time.
The yellowfin will actually do a death roll where it comes up alongside the boat, then it'll turn onto its side and go under, and then do the same thing over again. It'll just come around and then go turn, go under, and every time it's almost trying to wrap around the rudder. It almost knows what it needs to do. Forward on port or reverse on starboard, just to keep the boat positioned so it's just far enough away from the fish but not too far so that we keep the pressure on.
This is like the key moment. Don't lose the damn fish.
Play the fish until it's tired. Just keep playing it. There's no hurry in terms of, you know, getting it on board. Just keep playing it. The more tired, the easier of a job you'll have gaffing it.
So then that brings us to next is getting the damn fish on the boat. It's right there, Ben, right there. Go full in. You need to go forward a little on this. You need to be in front of it. The fucking huge money, the shark just ate it. Get the video camera. Shark's got it. Shark's got it. Whoa! Whoa, it's a bloodbath.
Give me a hand on this. I don't want to lose him. This big fucking whale. It's a fucking huge whale. Yeah, man, nailed it. Fishing competition, man. I think I win.
Against who? Me?
Yeah, I didn't tell you, but we're having a fishing competition. 10 points right there. 10 points. Woo! Winner!
I have no idea what
There's
you're
no
talking
one else around to celebrate with.
He's crazy. I have no idea what he's talking about. We're the only ones out here. He's having a fishing competition with himself.
So after 4 days at sea, this is what we came home with. But we're heading to Papua New Guinea. And caught this on a rod and reel. Didn't take too long to get him in. And baby, man, that's gonna be good eating. A true yellowfin right there. TLD 50 with mono and braid backing is the magic there. Woo!
Yeah, I'm surprised there's no sharks here either. Really safe.
He's so heavy we gotta winch him up.
Can you even lift him?
Fill the freezer, eh? For the next month. Okay, a little bit more. One more.
So we've always forget to measure the fish, and this time we remembered. So how big is this guy, Ben?
95 girth and 143 centimeters long. Here, you can have your measuring tape back.
I don't want it.
Oh.
It's very heavy. This is amazing. We've been missing this ever since last year. We caught a giant tuna. The giant tuna yellowfin tastes amazing. I think we got enough for a little while. I'm gonna vacuum bag it and then put it in the freezer. Some I'll leave out because we're gonna eat this for the next few days. I can't wait. Oh, oh. This is a pretty good vacuum bagger, but if I had to do this all over again and I had a bit of money, I would buy like a proper one, because what happens is I end up, it takes me a long time because I seal these bags like 3 times each one, and then they still bust apart sometimes. So these food saver ones, although they're very good, if you're like us and you want to catch a lot of fish and you're sailing around the world, maybe spring for a bit better one. We've used this thing so much.
Anyways, that's about it. That's all we know about fishing.
Yeah, which actually started off as not a lot about game fishing and this kind of fishing.
Yeah, so to conclude, get yourself a good reel with a big handle. Get yourself a big gaff, like a 6-foot gaff. You want a belt. And you want this to be mono on the front and then braid backing on the back, so it can just run for ages and ages. Go out and catch some fish.
Yeah.
You fellow salty sailors.
And get yourself a big rod. You deserve it. And get yourself a big reel. You deserve it.
You do deserve it.
Big reels are the bomb.
You've had a hard year.
And I'm sorry we're not drinking beer. We can't cheers you with beer because we're on passage and we're a dry boat on passage, so.
Yeah.
But cheers you with water this time.
Cheers. Air.
Here, want some of that water?
Alright.
Alright.
We got like another 10 days to go. 7 days to go.
5, I hope.
5 days to go before we hit land, so. We'll leave you with that little gem and see you next week. What do sailors say? Aye, matey. That's hello as well, right? What's the opposite of hello? Ahoy. What's the opposite of ahoy? I don't know. Comment below if you know.